for sure by Chullin, where it's so weak, for sure it's going to be only the one that's slaughtering, and not the one that's standing on the side.
There's so many ways to answer that. We've gone through this. In kosher, there's special laws, special psukim, special everything. How do you... Rish Lakish could say, you don't learn from coaching. Coaching has a pashut, there's psukim, there's halacha, like we've seen. There's no laws of pigul in
but maybe that's more of a reason to be lenient. That where does thoughts really matter? We see where thoughts really matter is by kachim. Over here, thoughts don't really matter, so we're going to be less.
But you're making it more. You're saying that the sheikhet who doesn't own the animal could be invalidate the.
Yeah, not the. You're looking at it the other way. The sheikhet that doesn't own the animal. No, we're looking at the actual action combined with the thought is what invalidates the animal.
To make it the same, they both have to be non-owners of the animal. That's why I asked you the question before. If the guy owns the animal, you told me that Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, he owns the animal. But if you're going to make this kavachemer, he doesn't own the animal. Because in the mikdash, he doesn't own the animal. The guy who sheichets him.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Before I asked you if you own the
okay,
animal.
Before I didn't realize you were asking the owner versus
because in the
versus.
mikdash, the comparison
I get it. So we're going to have to go back. I get it. We're going to have to go back and say that hasheichet doesn't have to be the owner. As we're going to see on the next page about the owner.
Sorry.
Okay, it's just it's a Jew.
Okay.
Tanya Kavasei Rabbi Yochanan. Let's prove. Bring a brisa that proves Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Hasheichet as a behema. I left out one point before that Rashi points out that burning the fats is not considered a service. That's even by kachim, it's not a service. So if he's going to say that, we said there's only two possibilities where he can have thoughts that will invalidate. It's not burning the fats or something like that. Okay. It says, Hasheichet as a behema, if someone slaughters an animal, Lizrik Damalavai Diskechavim, and his intention is to sprinkle blood for idolatry. Ulahakte Chelba Lavai Diskechavim, and his intention is also, to burn the fats to Avai Diskechavim. Hareyolu Zivchei Mesim. This is considered Zivchei Mesim, it's slaughtered to an idol. It's called Mesim, dead gods. The Rashi quoted before that when it comes to slaughtering for an idol, it becomes forbidden to have benefit from it, because we learn the death of Miriam. It says Sham, and we learn there from Egla Rufa, where it says Sham. We learn that just like over Egla Rufa, it's forbidden to have benefit from the animal that the neck is broken when the person dies out in the field, and so too from a dead body we're not allowed to have benefit, and from a dead body we learn to idolatry, that you can't have benefit from anything that's slaughtered. Okay, so this is considered zivchei mesim, and you can't have any benefit from this animal. Shachta, if it's slaughtered, v'achar kach hishav aleh, and then afterwards he thinks about it, that he's going to sprinkle the blood or to offer the... So then, Zehaya Maisa Bekisri. This was a story that took place in Caesarea. And they didn't say if it's forbidden or if it's permissible. Amar Rav Chizda explained, Rav Chizda is under Rav, under Rafuna, Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says, La yamru ba iser mishum kvaydin derabanan, la yhata mishum kvaydin derabi Eliezer. I have to explain because it was the Mishnah we learned yesterday. We said before that there's a machlekes derabanan and Rabbi Eliezer regarding someone that slaughters a non-Jewish animal. And one of the ways of explaining that machlekes, the Rabbanan say that it's valid, and Rabbi Eliezer says it's not valid, because we said that everyone agrees the first way of explaining it. Everyone agrees that the thoughts of the owner will invalidate the sacrifice. Even though he didn't perform anything, he's just standing on the side. The question is, do I say that stam machsheva soivet kechavim is la'avedus kechavim? Do I say generally a non-Jew's thought is always for idolatry, or do I say not? The rabbis say, look, not every guy is a fanatic. He's allowed to. He can slaughter an animal and think that he's going to eat it. Doesn't not everything he's going to do is going to be, idolatry. And Rabbi Eliezer says no. Every guy is. If you don't know, if he doesn't say it's for personal use, it's for his idol. Okay. So here we have someone that's slaughtering an animal, and he didn't think it's a Jew. But he didn't think at the time of the slaughtering. But we know right afterwards he had thoughts. So we know that he's not such a kosher Jew.
We know because he said it?
Because afterwards he said it. I guess he pronounced it. When it says chishev, that we have this machlekes, doesn't mean he pronounced it. So now we go back.
After people ate it, he went and said, I had the thoughts.
Well, not necessarily.
Because otherwise, he told you right now that this is what he's thinking of.
He slaughters an animal.
Good. But now
And as it's
he's thinking to give it to everyone else.
As it's laying there, he pronounces that I'm going to take the blood and I'm going to sprinkle it.
So it's not a machshava, it's a dibur.
Yeah, but some say that machshava, when it talks about thoughts, that it's always dibur. That's a Rashi learns. That when we say chishev, it's always dibur. The Rambam doesn't, and Taisvus, I think, argue on that. So, but we said that it's not forbidden.
Also in Pigul?
Yeah, by Pigul as well. If you want to see that.
He says that it's also in Pigul, dibur?
Yeah, if you go back, Lamates, take a look at Taisvus. Ella, Taisvus Ella. Because Taisvus has a question. According to that opinion, Taisvus acknowledges that there's two ways there. What's considered machshava by Pigul? Does he have to pronounce it or not? There's two ways. That's a machlekes in the Rishonim. Okay. So Rav Chisda says that we didn't say that it's forbidden because of the honor of the rabbis. What does that mean, the honor of the rabbis? Well, the rabbis say that a non-Jew's thoughts are not always for idolatry. And here we're dealing with the Jew. We know he worships idols. But we're not going to say his thoughts are for... So therefore it's not prohibited. Even though if he would have said it, he would have prohibited it. But here he didn't say anything. Until afterwards. So we assume that while he was shechting, it was kosher. When loy laheter, but they didn't say it's permissible, mishum kvoided Rabbi Eliezer. Oh, so interesting. The Rashash on the side changed it to Rabbi Eliezer. That's what I wanted.
Ask for Mashiach.
It's Rabbi Eliezer. That makes more sense because Rabbi Yossi argues with Rabbi Eliezer, not with Rabbi Eliezer. I have a note on the side. Do you have that also? Okay. My Gemara is this Gerari Shas. So it has these extra comments in it. I don't know who added the comments, but he added in the Tzemach Tzedek in the back. That was when he published it, the Rashba. So he also has some notes on the side, interesting things. Okay, so
takes broad shoulders to alter the daf.
It also takes someone that wants to make more money selling it. He has to change something to make a better sale. So desperation. So because Rabbi Eliezer holds that a stam thoughts, stam means just a regular thought of a guy was going to be for idolatry. Unspecified. Thank you. An unspecified thought is for idolatry. So that's why we didn't say that it's permissible. The Gemara says, Mimai, how do you know that that's the pshat? Dilma adkan like Rabbanan Hasam over there, the rabbi said that a non-Jew's thoughts are unspecified thoughts are not for idolatry. El Shamana Dechashiv. That's because we never heard that he said any. He didn't say anything at all. So we say that it's not for idolatry. But over here he says what he's going to do. So what he says, pronounces at the end, that possibly goes back and tells us what he thought originally. Over there we didn't have such anything that would prove what his original thoughts are. So maybe the rabbis would agree over here that it's forbidden. It should be free. Inami, or we could say the opposite. Adkan like Rabbi Elazar Hassam. Why does Rabbi Elazar say over there that it's forbidden? Elagabi Ovid Kechavim. We're dealing with a non-Jew. Because unspecified thoughts of a non-Jew are for idolatry. They're all fanatics. Avul Yisrael. But a Jew, we don't say that the thoughts at the end prove what he thought at the beginning. He came over his head some sort of right until proven guilty. We would assume that he was always thinking about Hashem or thinking about personal things, but not idolatry. Over here at the end, he thought about idolatry. That's because he was overcome with some craziness. But how do we know that Rabbi Elazar would say that at the beginning? Ela Rav Shizvi. I don't know where Rav Shizvi is in here, but he's taken very serious. So, as we'll see, Rav Shizvi says, "Lo Yomer beheter." You have to wait for the book to come. Some people ordered the book. People in the Talmud.
You'll say there, Doris.
We'll say there. Well, that's a good. Yeah, he'll even tell you the Gilgal, who he was in the previous. Okay. He says, Rav Shizbi says, what does it mean that they didn't forbid this and they didn't permit this? They didn't permit it because of the honor of Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. This is very interesting. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel would be the Nasi. They don't want to say anything in his honor. The question is, where did Reb Shimon ben Gamliel say anything that would allude to this? Because what we're talking about is he makes a statement later that's going to prove what he had intention earlier. Hey, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Which Reb Shimon ben Gamliel are we referring to? That because of his honor, not which one, father, or, grandson or grandfather. Which statement? Eily, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel the Gittin. If we say it's Reb Shimon ben Gamliel by a divorce document, the Tanan was taught in a Mishnah. Habari Shamar Kisvaget Ishti. If a healthy person tells his, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel would be the father of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. You see Rabbi Yehuda Anasi on the right? Right there. His father is Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. So, if a healthy person says to write his wife a get, that doesn't have to do with the health here. We're talking about someone that wasn't on his deathbed, and he says he's not on his deathbed. He's just a regular person. He says, write a get to my wife. So he can't give the get because he's just teasing her, or he wants to appease her possibly if she asked for a get. He's saying, yeah, okay, we'll get it written. They postpone it. So yeah, we'll have it written. But what really makes the divorce is when he gives it to her. Now, there's a problem if he would say give it to her, because then he made a shliach. He appointed whoever was there to give it to her. So, but he didn't say give it to her. He just said write. Umaisa, there was a story. Bibari, a healthy person. There was no reason that he. You see, the reason why we're getting into this is because we say that someone that's being taken out to be killed, or someone, we even added into that, someone that's going on a long trip. So we say that he should write a divorce to his wife. We say that he was tumult, he was confused, and he didn't give the full instructions, but really he meant to give it as well. But that's what he meant, and we have reason to believe that, because he didn't want her to fall into the hands of his younger brother, that he's going to die, they didn't have children, the younger brother's going to have to marry her, they're going to have to wait 20 years till he grows up, and he doesn't want to go through all of that process. He wants to free his wife from waiting for the Yibam or something like that. So there's reason to believe that he wanted the get to be given. But over here he's a healthy person. It's a story of a healthy person, not going on a trip or anything. Shamar kisvu get lishti. He says, write my wife a divorce. Va'ala lagag. And he goes up to the roof, v'nafal omes, and he falls off the roof.
Suspicious.
Yes, very suspicious. Well, Amar Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Imeyatz me nafal." If he fell from himself, that means like he jumped. So harez a get. Then it's a divorce. He wanted to free his wife from the yibam, and he didn't say to give it, but we know
his actions.
Right. But what happened is he didn't say to give it, but they gave it, and it doesn't count if they weren't instructed to. The imaruach dachatai, and if the wind blew him off, ain't a get. It's not a good get. V'havinam ba, and we deliberated on this case.
But he was still meant to fall. That's the market story. Hanofel.
Right.
So how can
Right. The question
it
is,
should be
what was?
irrelevant.
Did he recognize that he was about to die when he?
Either way, he was about to die.
Did he recognize? That's the big difference. When he said write a get, did he mean also to send the get? So we deliberated on this. We said, my solicitor. The story is contradicting the beginning of the Brisa. The beginning of the Brisa says that if a healthy person says, write a get to my wife, so it's nothing. But then we continue when we say it depends. If he falls off the roof, even though he's healthy. So the story is contradicting the first statement. There's a missing clause in here. So the Gemara says, Chsuri mechzer of a hachiktani. This is actually missing this Mishnah is missing words, and we're going to fill it in. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to edit the Mishnah in the actual text, but the way of understanding it, we have to add in a clause. You have to add these words in. That if the end reveals what he had intention originally, hareza get, then it's considered a divorce. And we also have a case with a healthy person, that said, write a get to my wife. He didn't say to give it. They gave it. He goes up to the roof and he falls off and he dies. If the wind pushes him off, it's not a get. Here we see that that the end proves what he had in mind originally. So therefore, if someone slaughters an animal and immediately afterwards he says that I'm going to sprinkle the blood for an idol, so what he says later on goes back and tells us what he thought originally. So that, in other words, we're looking at can we look at what happened later to prove what he had in mind originally? And Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says yes. So therefore, that's why they didn't allow that animal to be eaten. The Gemara says, "V'dil mashani hasam dekamar kisvu." Here it's a little different. Here he said to write a get. Over there he didn't say anything that would allude to that. Here he alluded to it. He already started the process. He said write a get. He didn't say to give it. Then he goes up and he falls off. So maybe over there we say Seifei Tchiach al Tchilasei, that the end where he falls off was really that he knew he was going to die. But over here, all of a sudden he's overcome with insanity. Doesn't mean that before he had thoughts of idolatry. Elam Ravina says, Mishum Kvoide de Reb Shimon ben Gamliel dehach, we have a different Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Titania, start in the Braisa. HaKoisev nechasav la'achirim, someone writes his possessions over to someone else. V'hayu bem avadim. Amongst the possessions were slaves. V'amar hala, and this one says, Iyafshi behem. Says, I don't want the slaves. Now, the rule is, when it comes to slaves, that if you're a kohen and you own slaves, the slaves, even non-Jewish slaves, are allowed to eat truma. So the recipient of the gift says, I don't want the slaves. So imhaya Rabbi Sheni kohen, if the second master is a kohen, harei elu eichlam b'truma, they can eat truma. Becomes automatically his. We're going to ask on that, but meanwhile, let's just hold it. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Kivan shamar hala yafshi behem," because he says, "I don't want them. I can't deal with these slaves. I'm not accepting them." Kvar zacha bem yarshim. The inheritors already got it. Inheritors means we go back to the first owner, and we say even if he passed away, it would go to the inheritors. In other words, they weren't given over to the second owner. Doesn't mean necessarily inheritors. It means that the gift wasn't given.
Why don't they become a shepherd? Why should they be free?
That's interesting. They talk about that. Why don't they go out free? I forget who someone.
He's giving them away
because it says la'olam b'hem ta'avodim.
No, because the second owner says I don't want them. The first owner.
So what?
Okay.
Should they be freed?
Okay.
So
the owner got rid of them.
it's a mitzvah to have a.
He gave them away to somebody else. He never freed them.
Or if he gave them away, free them from him. If the other guy didn't want it, they're in between.
They go
so
back to the original.
It's like a bird. This guy gives the bird over. This one says, "I'm not putting the cage." Guess what the bird does?
Okay, I saw when I was learning. I saw someone mentions that they should be. It could be even in the basic commentaries here in the Gemara, but Vahavinamba, they deliberated on this. L'Tanakama, according to the first opinion, that says that they can eat truma because the second master is a kohen. Even if he's standing there, he says, "I don't want them," they automatically become his. Why should he have to accept it? Amar Rabba, V'teimer Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba says, and some say that it's Rabbi Yochanan. Isn't that interesting? In other words, it was confused. Who said this? If he obediently shouted, "I don't want it," everyone agrees to laikana. And then again, if he's quiet and he accepts them, and then afterwards he says, "Oh, yeah, I can't deal with these. I don't want them." Doesn't say. I don't know. The kuli amalei pligi dekana. Everyone agrees that he acquires them. It's too late. Ki pligi. I think it's going to be less than that. Ki pligi. When is the machlekes shezikalei al yedei acher? He tells someone else to make a kinyan for this fellow over here, and v'shasak, and he's quiet during the kinyan, and then afterwards he starts screaming. Tanakama Savar, the first opinion holds midah shasak, because he was quiet. Kaninu, he acquired them. Now that he's screaming, he's changing his mind, and we don't accept changing minds. It's already his. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, the end is proving what he had in mind originally. And this said he didn't scream originally. Why should I scream? It didn't come into my hands yet. This other person was acquiring it for him, but he didn't realize that he had to scream then. So, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel holds that if a person pronounces something afterwards, that could go back and tell us his original intent. His original intent was that he never wanted to do this. So too, if someone shouts afterwards, or he pronounces afterwards, that he wants to sprinkle the blood for idolatry, that goes back and tells us what he had intent originally, that by the shechita also.
To these avadim, or there's no value to them?
There is value. So you're asking if it should be
Zachem
Zachem
Adam.
Adam. Right. But that would only be if he says clearly, "I don't want it."
But I'm saying when he shuts
immediately. But because
how could you say that it shows the
but because afterwards he was screaming, that shows hechiach al tchilasi that he never really wanted it. We have cases like this. This by a get. If a woman doesn't want to receive the get, or she's not able to we can't find her or something, so we'll do a schus. He'll give the get to someone that will acquire it on her behalf. Now, we'll do that only in a case where we assume that she's already with someone else, because that would be a very big schus for her to have a get rather than to be living with someone else. The only problem is sometimes she announces that I'm not taking the get, and then she's living with someone else. And then there's this question, can we... She clearly, even though we know it's a schus, but she clearly pronounced that she doesn't want it, then is such a thing as schus? It's complicated stuff. She doesn't want to let the other guy, right.
And she's already gone.
Yeah, she's not religious or sure, whatever. So.
Interesting.
If the Rebbe says by a person who doesn't want to give a get that we can force him, even though it has to be willfully.
We're quoting the Rambam, quoting the Rambam, but that's okay. This is Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says the name of Shmuel. You see, Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda is a student of Shmuel. He says, Halacha Rabbi Yaisi. Go back to the other page.
But nobody's arguing with Rabbi Yaisi. Who argued with Rabbi Yaisi that we have to even say that? No.
Yeah.
We had Rabbi Lazar that said that. And in the logic also. And back in the Mishnah. We're going back to the Mishnah. There was Tanakama Rabbi Lazar.
Not
Rabbi
the Rabbi
Yaisi
Yaisi that Rav Sheshes brought.
Rav Sheshes. Yeah, it is actually. But Rav Sheshes only quoted half the Mishnah. He's only quoting Rav Yaisi's opinion. Yeah. You wanted to answer. I get what you're saying. You're saying then because in Rabbi Yaisi we were trying to explain Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. They could have said that they go like Rabbi Lazar, and that could have resolved it. Yeah, but the Gemara didn't want to do that. They wanted them to fit with any of them. So Hanu Taya. There were these Taya are Arab merchants. The asu l'tzikunya. They came to this place, Tzikunya. Yovu dichri l'tabchi Yisrael. They gave rams to the Jewish butchers. Amar lahu, they said, Dama v'tarba l'didan. The blood and the fats are yours. Mishcha ubisra l'didchu.
They're testing the ours.
Our. 1 second. L'didan means ours. The blood and the fat are ours, but the blood and the fat are ours, but the skin and the flesh are for you.
They're testing the Jews' Yetzirah. Like,
So over there, this is not Muslims because we're dealing with idolaters.
Oh, because I was just.
The
Because then they like Teshech.
yeah.
There's no real shechita, but it says that they only ate, after, even if it dies, they shecht it. In Rashi, I don't know.
Oh, at the
I was
end.
thinking maybe.
So Rashi is explaining why they're giving it to a sheichet, because they'll eat an animal that died. But they hold that even if it died, they still shecht it. Okay, so Sholchu Rav Tuvi bar Rav Masna l'kami de Rav Yosef. They sent this question to Rav Yosef. Ki agavna mai? What's the din over here? So who's the owner? The Arabs. Who's the sheichet? Is the Jew. Shalach lei, he sent back. Hachem Rav Yehuda Mishmal lach Rav Yosef. The owner doesn't matter what his intention is. The Jew is shechting it. Amle Rav Achabre, the Rav Yil Rav Ashi, the Rabbi Lazar, Yav le'ezuzah l'tabach Yisrael mai. Very interesting question. According to Rabbi Lazar, where the owner does matter. Let's say he just gives him a coin and he says, "I want a piece of that animal that you're about to shech." We know that if he's going to take a portion of the meat, it invalidates it if he has intention, according to Rabbi Lazar, because he's considered the owner even of a small portion. So Amalei, Rav Ashi responded, Chazina, and we have to check. If he's a strong person, that he can't push him away, then it's going to be Yasser. Because he already owns it. He can't push him away, he can't say, keep your money. He's stuck. However, Eily, but if he's not a strong person, then Amalei tells him, Reishach v'har. You see your head and see the mountain? Go bang it on the mountain. He says, I don't need to listen to you.
He controls the transaction.
Right, he controls.
Can I ask a quick question on the previous one? When they said you get to keep the meat and the skin,
Right.
wasn't that a gift? At that point, who cares what?
They were doing it like a payment. They say, look, all we want is this part, and you can keep that. It was clearly that they wanted it for idolatrous purposes.
Was it a payment or was it a gift? Maybe they why?
They still own
If
the
they
fats, they still own the blood. They still own a piece of it, as long as they own a piece of it.
this is a kosher.
Yeah, what is your concern? Let's say it is a payment. Let's say it's a gift.
If it's a gift, this is a kosher shechet. He had no intentions of it as a.
Right.
He owns the animal. The majority of the animal he
Right.
owns. He has a very small amount. He's not going to eat the fat and the blood anyhow. What's the question?
Yeah, well, the question would be, if I don't paskin like Rabbi Yossi,
Yeah.
and I go like Rabbi Lazar,
But-
then the owner,
but-
even a small amount of owning it, invalidates the animal, according to Rabbi Lazar.
But it was meat. According to Rabbi Lazar, small ownership of meat.
I think that was a chiddush. Even the diaphragm, which was such a small piece of
Meat. It's edible. Here,
Right.
they're not talking about edible food. We're talking about fat and blood.
Uh-huh.
Unless
I
the
think this
fat
may
was
be
edible.
maybe even worse.
The
Even
fat is edible?
though this is worse, because he was gonna. This is what gets offered to the idol.
So it's
So this may
clearly
be even worse.
His intention is
Right.
Okay, next.
Hashoichet l'shem harim, the Mishnah, new Mishnah. Someone slaughters for the sake of mountains, l'shem gvais, for valleys, l'shem yamim, for oceans. It means he's considering these things like idols. L'shem naharis, he's for rivers, l'shem midbaris, for the deserts. Shchitasi psula, all of this is considered idolatrous slaughtering, and it's invalid. Shtayim eichsim b'saken. Two people are holding a knife, b'sheichten, and they're slaughtering. Echad l'shem echad mikol eila. One of them has intention for those things over there. Ve'echad l'shem davar kasher, and one of them has intention for things that are permissible, which means Rashi says unspecified shchita. So shchita se psula, it's invalid. The Gemara says when you say psula in zivchei mesim lai, it sounds like it's only invalid, but really, if it's for an idol, then it should be forbidden to have any benefit. It's asur b'ana. It's considered an offering to avodah zarah. For a minu, I'll ask a contradiction on this. But the Gemara is first saying zivchei mesim lai. It's not forbidden. The contradiction is hasheich l'shem haram l'shem gvais l'shem naharis l'shem midbaris l'shem chama lavana. Someone slaughters for the mountains, for the valleys, for the rivers, for the deserts, for the sun, for the moon. L'shem kechavim l'mazalis, for the stars and the planets. L'shem michal sa'asar to the angel Michael. L'shem shilshel katan, for the smallest worm. Harayelu zivchei mesim. All of these are forbidden to have benefit. Before we had a diuk that it's only puzzle. It's not forbidden to have benefit. Amar Rabbi. Rabbi answers. Down here, around Rabbi. There's a big jump. So we jumped many generations. Just Leikasha. Had Amar Lahar. This one is where he says to the mountain. Had Amar Lagada Dahar. You see, when he slaughters to the mountain doesn't become an idol, as we're going to see. However, he's not allowed to eat the meat because it's similar. The mountain is not a real idol, but it's similar to slaughtering to an idol. So it's forbidden to eat, but it doesn't become that he slaughtered really to an idol, and that would make it forbidden to have benefit from. The word God Dahar, I would like to say it's like God, but
it's his guardian spirit of the
guardian spirit. And whenever I try to work play with words, there's this fellow that's an expert at this, and whenever I try to tell him my chiddush, he says I should stick to my day job. So
God is a Muslim.
Right. It means an angel, a guardian angel of the. So over there, that's considered that he's slaughtering for an idol, or to another god, even though it's not. We don't have the image here. Okay. Dekanami, I'll prove it to you. Diktani dumi de Michal Saragadol Shma Mina. We'll prove it because when he's in this, we didn't have slaughtering to Michal, to an angel, in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says it's puzzle. The Brisa that we quoted, the Tesefta that we quoted, has in there the angel, which means that our Mishnah is talking about only that he's slaughtering for natural things that are natural, things that are still there, and therefore they don't become an idol, and that's why it's only puzzle. But over here, it's things that are separate. It's not in a natural form. It's not